Good evening. I'd like to call this regular scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting for April the 20th to order. We will begin with our invocation. Tonight will be led by County Manager Lance Metzler. If everybody could please stand. Afterwards, we'll be receiving the pledge from Mr. Asher Evans.
If you would please join me in prayer. Bow on your head, please. Heavenly Father, we lift up to you our county leaders who are entrusted with the responsibility to govern and serve. Grant them wisdom and discernment as they make decisions that affect our county. May they lead with integrity, compassion, and a commitment to justice. Surround them with counsel that is pure, peace-loving, and full of mercy. Help them to seek the common good, to act with humility, and to serve with the heart of all people, especially the most vulnerable. We pray for our unity among our leaders, that they may work together in harmony to build a community that reflects your love and grace. Protect them from division and guide them in the path of righteousness. May your peace reign in their hearts in our county, now and always. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Ma'am. So Mr. Asher Evans, if you could join us up at the podium here. Mr. Evans is in the Explore 4-H Club. He's a fifth grader from Stoneville, and he's homeschooled. Is that correct? All right, sir. So if you can start whenever you're ready. Everybody, please face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Good job. Thank you, Mr. Evans. And that takes us to item 4 on our agenda, which is a recognition. Mr. Metzler, if you would like to begin with that.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, we have Sergeant Underwood here who was involved in an incident not too long ago, and we wanted to have him here on behalf of the Sheriff's Department to talk about the bulletproof vest that he had on that day, and he survived it. And with your help and your guidance for equipment for the sheriff's office, it was able to save a life. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Underwood.
Good evening. First, I would like to start off by saying that I'm honored to be here tonight, but I do not stand here alone. I have my family here with me in support. What happened on October 7th isn't about one individual or myself or anyone else as an individual who was there. Oop, there we go. But it was about a team, a unit effort, mission that was set in place, and it was also about the community. First and foremost, I give all the glory to God. Without him being there for us and physically moving 2 of the individuals that were there that took direct fire that day, we may be saying a different story or having to do different things. So I'm here today because of his purpose and his will, and that is it, and that's the final word of it. I'd also like to recognize the victim in the case for having the courage to speak up and report the domestic violence that occurred on that day and that led up to that event. That decision alone, albeit that it wasn't easy, was what set in motion everything to occur on that day. What we do only matters if the individuals and the victims of domestic violence have the courage to stand up or report it. And sometimes they're not able to. So if you or a family member or loved one have some type of issues with domestic violence, stand up and say something. That's the only way that we can do anything to help you. I would also like to thank the sheriff for his leadership and his trust, allowing us to do what we do at the level of competency that we do it without hesitation. And the trust from him to allow us to do that is what the community needs. And I'm appreciative that he allowed us to do that day. I would also like to thank the county commissioners for your continued support towards equipment and needs of the team and the sheriff's office as a whole. Those decisions are not just line items in a budget. They are directly related to either being prepared or being vulnerable. And you guys taking a step and look at the budget directly correlates to our willingness or ability to come home to our families. And I know my family is appreciative of you guys looking after us for the budget and looking after us for equipment, because without that, we just can't, we wouldn't be able to operate. Most importantly, I want to recognize the men of the special response team of the Sheriff's Office. These individuals train relentlessly, without hesitation, and willingly place themselves in the most dangerous situations that the county has to face. They do this while balancing full-time duties for the Sheriff's Office. So we are a collateral duty team. This means in addition to our primary duties. They do this without additional compensation, and they do it while being on call 24/7, 365 days a year, without any excuse for weather or any other type of issues that they may come across. When the agency calls or another agency calls and has a high-risk, rapid evolving situation, those are the men that are coming, and they are well equipped because of your willingness to provide them with that equipment, and I thank you for it. Despite that, there's never hesitation from them. There's never a question of their commitment. When something goes wrong and the risk is the highest, when solutions are needed, those are the men that are called, and they have to answer that. They have no one else to turn to. What happened on October 7th is a direct result of their training, their discipline, and their willingness to stand in that place. On that day, after the incident was concluded, I went back and looked at it with a full review. As the tactical team commander for our county's SRT, I went back and looked at the review of every single officer's involvement on that day. And while this time, standing in front of that window and taking that plate and getting shot, while that was one occurrence of willing to lay down my life for my friends and my teammates, those men did it 141 times more than me in that one operation alone. 141 times they were willing to lay down their life for their friend more than me, and they deserve that recognition as well. That's not to mention the 24 operations that they did prior in that year. So 24 times, 141 times they did it in that one. How many times did they do it all those other operations? I can't count them. I trust them with my life, and I already have. But behind each and every single one of those operators is a family that carries a burden that is often unseen. Behind those operators are missed holidays, late nights, and uncertainty of how long or where their family member is going and how long they're going to be gone. They do not wear a badge. They did not sign up for that commitment. But my team and my team members rely on their abilities to get them home. And they also rely on the equipment that is provided to them. And I cannot stress to you how thankful we are as a team for the commitment that you guys have to us as county commissioners. Without our families, this sacrifice would not be possible. With that all being said, in closing, I'm still grateful to be here. I'm grateful to serve alongside the men of the caliber of the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office SRT, and I'm grateful for the community that stands behind us. This recognition does not go to me alone. It belongs to them, their families, and to everyone who made this mission possible. So with that being said, I thank you guys for your efforts, and if there's anything that we can ever do, obviously the Sheriff's Office and Special Response Team will be more than willing to do anything to help out.
Sergeant Underwood, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your words and in recognition of you and your team. If you don't mind, if you come around here, we'd like to get a picture with you.
Yes, sir.
And your family as well. Come on up. Go back and get it. You need it.
Right. Do a couple. 1, 2, 3. Couple more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you for everything. Thank you, brother.
To item 5 on our agenda, which is request approval for the agenda for tonight. We work from a prepared agenda. This has been out for about 2 weeks, and everybody's had a chance to review it. Gentlemen, do we have any changes, or do we have a motion to proceed?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Commissioner Hall.
I move that we remove item 6C1 from our agenda, and we add what would be 11B to add closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A1, approve closed session minutes, and according to NCGS 143-318.11A5, instruct negotiating agents.
Gentlemen, with that, we have a motion to amend. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richardson. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to item 6, which is our consent agenda. The consent agenda are items that are considered to be non-controversial in nature. If you have any questions about anything that appears on the consent agenda, please reach out to the county manager's office. With that, gentlemen, do we have a motion to approve the amended consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Richardson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Callum. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to item 7. Which is our public comment section. This evening, we had no one signed up for public comment. So that will take us to item 8, which is our public hearing. If I could please have our senior planner, Mr. Adam Barr, approach the front.
Since Adam's come on board, we don't see Ben very much.
Members of the board, before us tonight is zoning planning case 2026-03. This is coming to us as a conventional rezoning to go from residential protected RP to residential agriculture. This property is going to be located just right next to the north and to the west of 1553 Mispa Church Road. And for the record, the tax pin is 891200713983. Just as a general reminder for our conventional rezonings, we will be looking at all of the potential uses in both of these districts as opposed to anything site-specific. And our planning board did hear this at their last meeting and voted unanimously for approval. As you can see, this is going to be on the far southeastern side of the county, pretty close to the Caswell border. The zoning map, you'll see most of the area is going to be residential agriculture with residential protected here at the corner of Cotton and Mispa Church Road mostly, and a little bit of highway commercial in the area as well. This is an aerial of the property. Currently, there's just a small accessory building on the property, and for the most part, it's fairly wooded. Kind of in the area, you'll see a pretty good mixture of different housing types, single-family site-built homes, as well as some manufactured homes as well. Our comprehensive plan has this area as the O2 lane class. This is generally going to be described as our low-density residential growth area and generally going to be supported for RA zoning for the most part as being the recommended zoning district. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Gentlemen, at this point, do we have any questions from Mr. Barr?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Callum?
Was there any calls, complaints?
We have had no calls on this particular case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. So with that, we will open the public hearing. Mr. Barr, is the applicant here?
I don't believe so, but I could be wrong on that. No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, we will open the public hearing. If the applicant is not here, we will move on to comments on this case. We did not have anyone signed up to speak for the public hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this issue? All right, with that, we will close the public hearing. Gentlemen, do we have any further discussion? If not, I will accept a motion. Motion by Commissioner Berger, second by Commissioner Hall. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Barr.
Thank you.
This brings us to item 9, presentation, 9A, presentations by Mr. Ben Curtis, our Register of Deeds.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Lance, Clyde, Commissioners, Adam, I appreciate you having to follow Sergeant Underwood, not myself. If you could pass these out for me, please, Lance. I put together a package for, one for Mr. Messler, one for Mr. Albright, and one for each of you to explain a situation that has occurred. Tonight with me, I have Mr. Brian Spearman and Mr. Rodney Suggs, both employees of CoFile. CoFile is a vendor that Rockingham County has been using since 1995, when it was originally known as Browns River. So when Miss Ramona Page was registered, she used them. When Miss Cipriati was registered, she used them. And for 31 years, Rockingham County has had a good working relationship with CoFile. I want to go in as much detail and explain everything that happened and when it happened. So if anybody wants to make some sort of comment, if they will listen, they'll have answers before they speak ignorantly.
Are you referring to the commissioners?
No, well, my fingers crossed on that one. Hopefully not. But the records at the registry's office do not belong to me. It's my job to manage them and protect them and preserve them the best I can with modern technology. They do not belong to the county manager. They do not belong to the commissioners. They belong to the people. So we had a situation in which, as you know, before any items are removed from my office for preservation work, I do a resolution to the county commissioners, and you give me permission to send books off for work. On April 21st, 2025, a resolution was presented to this board. It's going to be, and that's what the purchase order reference is, for 14 records to be transferred to the CoFile facility in Greensboro, North Carolina, for work, for preservation work at a cost of $43,329.50. As I stated, CoFile is a long-term vendor. We've been doing business with them my entire time since 2016, and for 31 years. On Monday, April 28th of 2025, Mr. Spearman came to my office, and I signed the 14 books over to him for transfer to the facility in Greensboro for the work to be done. On Friday, December 5th, 2025, I was contacted by Mr. Spearman and informed that an index book that contained 94 pages had been misplaced. At that time, they felt like it was still in the laboratory, and they were looking for it, but the order was going to be delayed for that reason, and he just wanted to let me know that's why the order was being delayed, but at the time felt confident it was still going to be located. At 3:45 p.m. on that same date, when I first found out, I went to the county manager's office and informed him that, 94 pages have been misplaced. They're looking for them. They feel confident they'll locate them. While CoFile still looked for those 94 pages, on Friday, December 19th, 2025, I contacted North Carolina Archives in Raleigh, talked to Mr. Holland to see if there was a digital copy of those 94 pages that could be retrieved. On Monday, December 22nd, 2025, I contacted Courthouse Computer Systems, who's our office vendor, our software vendor, to see if there was a digital copy in his records. On December 23rd, I found out that neither of them had a digital copy of the 94 missing pages. Now, it's important to realize that these 94 pages are an index. The original source material we still have. Let me repeat that again. The original source material we still have. An index can be recreated. On Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, I personally went to the co-file facility located at 7903 Thorndike Road in Greensboro and met with Mr. Spearman, Mr. Rodney Suggs, Mr. Aaron Reynolds, and Mr. Don Morris. And I was walked through the facility, shown where the book was last seen, you know, which workstations it had passed through. And also they showed me the safeguards they've put in place since this has happened to prevent it from happening again. Again, at that time, they felt like the pages might have been placed into a different book. They had gone to a different register, office keeper somewhere else. You know, co-file does business in Ohio, Virginia, New York, Texas. I mean, it's all over the place. And they felt like those 94 pages might have been shipped to one of those locations by mistake. And it takes time to track that down. Well, I also want to take the opportunity to explain to the public, when we say work preservation, what are we talking about? Because a lot of people, they don't know what that entails. But when co-file gets a book, they will inspect and log each item upon receipt, dispatch volumes by hand, flatten sheets using tracking irons, heat presses, and ultrasonic humidification chambers. They clean the surface, remove any archival repairs, adhesives, residual glues, fasteners, or lamination to the extent possible without causing damage to the paper or inks. They mend tears, and they repair acid. You know, a lot of the ink that was used back then had acid in it, and it'd eat holes in the paper. So when it became apparent and I found out in mid-March that the pages were not going to be able to be located, co-file, and then I went into some discussion on possible restitution. Again, the books do not belong to me, and it's not my place to accept the restitution offer to books that belong to the people. And so that's why I wanted to bring it in front of the commissioners tonight. On top of that packet that I gave you, you'll see that co-file has made an offer to recreate the index book at no cost to the county. They reduced that order that this incident occurred on. They offered a 20% discount off that order, which translated to about an $8,500 savings. And they have offered 20% off of any future orders if we continue to do business with them up to $100,000. And at that, I didn't really, I mean, this is unusual. I've never dealt with this, and they've never lost a book. So at this time, I would say that you have the restitution offer in front of you, and I would suggest, this is up to Clyde, but somebody would need to make a motion to accept it, because I don't have the authority to do so.
Mr. Albright, would you care to enlighten us any further on what Register Curtis was just telling us about?
I think if they reproduce the index like they say they're going to, that's really the goal here.
Mhm.
And the board can accept that if you wish.
Commissioner Berger.
The restitution offers as far as discounts on orders.
I'm sorry.
The restitution offers as far as discounts on orders, what are those? Maybe Mr. Curtis is the right one to ask that question, but.
The original cost of the order in which this book was part of was $43,329.50. So if you took 20% off of that order, that amounted to savings of $8,473.30 off the order in question. Then they would recreate the book at no cost to the county. And then the next order, if one is to occur, we would receive a 20% discount up to $100,000 on that order. So basically, if we proceed to do business with CoFile, we would have we'll end up getting $28,473.30 worth of work for free, and they're going to recreate the book that was misplaced. And it was a 94-page index book. We still have the 4 source material books, so it being recreated is not going to be an issue.
So the up to $100,000, that would be an order that would be placed at one time, is that right?
That was my understanding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And what do we have as far as projects that, moving forward, as far as orders to be placed, so that we can understand whether or not that offer, what that could entail?
After getting the restitution letter that you have a copy of, I did have Mr. Spearman come to the office, and he spent 3 days at the office going over large projects that have an end game. Once this money is invested, there is an end game to it. So I have 3 proposals, but I didn't know if you need to make the motion before or after. You want to know the proposals before the motion?
I do. I do.
Please continue.
I'm just here. The first thing, we have 2 plaque cabinets, and their oldest plaque cabinets, that's why they're labeled plaque cabinet number 1 and plaque cabinet number 2. And a lot of those plats are, survey maps, for people who not sure what plat is, are on paper. When you get into plaque cabinet 3 and later, those are on Mylar. Mylar is much more durable material. And a lot of those plats on paper, as you can imagine, are fairly old, and they've been handled a lot. They have tears and tape holding them together and things like that. So I had Brian price plat cabinet number 1 and plat cabinet number 2. Now, one of the things CoFile wants to do, they had a specialist come in and look at these plat cabinets, is right now, the way they're hung in our cabinets is there's actually a 3-hole hanger that's glued directly to the plat. Not exactly what you want with paper. Mylar, it's not a big deal. So if they do these plat cabinets, they will go in Mylar sleeves, and then the glue, the hanger will go attached to the Mylar sleeve, not the plat. So when they include it in their price, and we do not have cabinets that work that way. So in the price would be 2 cabinets that work that way, painted to match our existing cabinets, because I have some OCD issues. I don't want a mint cabinet next to a tan one. And we negotiated that price to, I told Brian, you're gonna have to get that under $60,000 a piece, because at first it was, I think it was closer to 70.
Yes.
It was closer to 70, and got him down $10,000 on each one. So the price of those cabinets are $59,999 and some change. So right at $120 to do both of those. Right now in our automation and preservation fund, I have about $170,000. And I would like to fund those 2 plat cabinets myself, because we'd still have $50,000 left in that fund, and we would be able to get that project taken care of. The ones that I would like for you to consider, can I explain how the Automation Preservation Fund works so people, when I say I want to spend $120,000, people understand? Yep. All right, for the public's understanding, General Statute 161-11.3, fees collected from recorded deeds of trust or mortgages shall be set aside annually and placed in a non-reverting automated enhancement and preservation fund. This can only be used on computer or imaging technology and needs associated with the preservation and records or storage of public records in the Office of the Register of Deeds. So this is a fund that's generated through fees in our office. There's no tax dollars. This is every transaction of a mortgage or something like that. A little bit of the money goes to this fund, and it can only be spent on preservation of the people's records. These are not mine. So every dollar we talk about spending tonight is spending it on something that belongs to the people. So I just want to make sure everybody understood where that money was coming from. But I have enough in the Automation Preservation Fund to fund those 2 plaque cabinets, if everybody would agree with that. The 2 other projects that I don't have enough money to cover, the main vault has been my focus since being elected in November of 2016. To date, we've completed 213 books. We have 484 left. Now, in our vault is a tile ceiling with water sprinklers. If you'd imagine if that was triggered, what water would do to a 150 or 200-year-old book. It's going to destroy it. So I've been converting each of our books into what are called disaster-safe binders, something COFI offers. Those binders are metal, they're fire-resistant, and have a water gasket, so they're water-resistant. It's as safe as a book can be made with modern technology. And each page of that book is put in a Mylar sleeve. So again, it gives it more protection from water. We have 267 books in the vault that would require full preservation. The cost to do those 267 books would be $722,783. We have 217 photostat books in the vault. Those books are a little cheaper. Be $162,715 to do those books. To do all 484 books in one shot, after the discount, it would be $865,533. Now, that's a chunk of change. And a register normally spends around $50,000 to $60,000 a year. So you're talking 16, 17 years it would take doing nothing else to get these books in the, to protect it the best that we can. If something happens in the next 17 years, you're going to lose whatever's not in a binder. The other one that I had, Brian Price, we have 5 filing cabinets that have marriage license between 1867 and 1987. Those marriage licenses are currently in paper folders like this and in filing cabinets. They're in pretty bad shape. The ones from 1867, that's 159 years old. You got a piece of paper, it's 159 years old. You can imagine what it looks like. The cost of those range from $15 a marriage license on those older ones, and when you get up to 1962 to 1987, they're about $10 a piece. Again, this is an end game. Once this is done, it's done. After discount, those will be $589,967. Now, the reason I'm giving you these 2 large projects is A, for a register to do this at the current funding level, it's going to take over 30 years. How bad are those records going to get over another 30 years? What kind of disaster could happen? And I'll tell you, Mr. Metzler, was it 5 years ago that we had a water line in the courthouse pop? We had a water line at the courthouse bust over a weekend. That water damaged our public search room, which is next to our vault. If that water line had busted or popped or whatever it did, 5 feet more south, that water would have poured in our vault over an entire weekend. And then we'd be having a different conversation. So my job is to try to preserve them to the best of my ability. We have this discount because in an unfortunate situation that maybe take advantage of, and that's why I had these, I wouldn't have come to you without the discount being on the table and asked for this. But if we're gonna get a discount, then I'd like for you to consider using it.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Commissioner Richardson, question.
I'm trying to summarize this, Ben.
Yes,
a
sir.
little bit. By statute, we must maintain these documents that you've addressed. By statute. Doesn't have anything to do with how much, I can't imagine that there's much call for a 159-year-old marriage license.
No, sir. I've looked at it just because I thought it was neat. But no, the couple that's on it has never come in to look for it.
There's probably some recent ones they want to throw away.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm with Berger. You probably got some people trying to extricate them. But by statute, we still must maintain these documents. True.
Yes, sir. It is my job to preserve them for future generations to the best of our ability. And I'll tell you, if you complete one of these projects, my grandchildren's grandchildren would not have to worry about them.
I got you. But we're following the law is the bottom line. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. And
Also,
anything.
the missing document, the missing index,
Yes, sir.
94 pages thereof will be replaced free.
Yes.
And to take advantage of the $100,000 discount,
Not 100,000, 20% discount.
20, up to 100,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's on the table and that will happen. All of this sounds like this is something we got to do. What I lack is a comparison with any other situation or any other provider. Do you have such a comparison?
Like I said, when I came into office, I approach things, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if Miss Ramona Page trusted this company, Miss Cipriotti trusted this company, and over my 10 years, I've had no reason not to trust this company. This is our first hiccup. Been very satisfied with their work up to this point. I do appreciate them coming tonight. And if the letter that was provided by them, you could see this was clearly a situation that was at no fault of any Rockingham County employee or myself. I signed them over to Brian, Brian signed them over to somebody else, and then it went gone. This is an unfortunate situation.
I got it.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you allowing me to summarize it. And I'm willing to make a motion to approve your suggestion. However, the piece of information I'm lacking is how the 20% discounts compares to comparable situations with another company and another happenstance.
To be honest with you, Mr. Richardson, this is not something I've advertised. This is, I like to use CoFile because, we had a good history with them. We still do. They are local. There's not a lot of companies that do this work. And to have one in Greensboro is pretty convenient.
Oh, they sound very reputable to me.
They tell me that they've never lost a book before. Never lost.
Nothing
I don't have
against
anything
your
to compare
company.
it to.
You sound very reputable. You're talking about almost $1 million. Can you see how I might like to have a comparison point?
Yeah, I'm the one standing here in front of you giving you your options. What you do with them.
County manager.
Chair, I was going to ask if I could speak for a second. So I guess what Mr. Curtis is seeking right now is you all to accept the proposal from CoFile. I don't think you're asking to spend the money because that's a lot. It's $1.5 million I think we need to discuss during the budget process. I mean, I don't know if you can do it over a 3-year period, a 4-year period. That would be up to the board, obviously, but.
I guess the part of that question would be to CoFile, how long is this offer on the table? The 20% discount?
I would reach back out to our legal team, but I don't see any reason why. I would certainly bring that to our legal team, but I don't see any reason why they would put any deadline on that. We certainly recognize the situation and feel bad about the reason I'm before you today, so we would certainly be willing to extend that discount.
Well,
To be clear, I'm in front of you to explain what happened, and this is the restitution offer. I do not have the authority to accept it.
got it. Got it. Got it.
And with the discount, these are the possible options for you to consider.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the restitution portion that has to do with the 94 missing pages and address the 20% discount as part of our regular budget process.
We have a motion by Commissioner Richardson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Callum. Any further discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Commissioner Callum.
And it may be to the gentleman back there. What procedures have you put in place to safeguard another index or something else being lost? So we know, the board knows moving forward what we could expect.
Yeah, we have a chain of custody that we've just modified to address it. Once the book is brought in, it's barcoded, and then it's processed and checked all the way through the process from that standpoint.
Okay, so
Each book has its own identity.
okay. And
And
it's,
so the other thing too is that we have a system that it allows us to look at where it is within the process itself.
so you always know where the book is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then each section checks that barcode.
Yes. And then we have frequent checks on that as we go forward in the preservation of those books.
Okay, is there been any hope or that index may be found or?
We're continuing to
what-
look. We always consider it missing in action, so we're continuing to look. We're looking at other counties, et cetera, where we've got, we just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I guess the other part of what Commissioner Richardson is asking for is just to see if you can get a name of another company and what the cost would be so that he could have that comparison.
Contact another company to come in and do a quote on the same work.
That's somewhat what I understood.
Yeah.
From what he was asking, so.
If I could jump in. Mr. Metzler, could you explain for the benefit of the public, I know a lot of times we have to do bids for different projects. With the registrar's office, what is the protocol for those type of things?
I would have to double check, but I think this would be one that would fall under, it's not sole source, definitely. So it would probably need 3 bids. I'll certainly look into that, but that's typically the process that we take, even though it might not be written, that's the process we take.
What is the number on that? Just for the benefit of the public, when we have to go, what's the number when we say, okay, if it's over this amount?
90, was it 90,000?
For service contract.
So.
My question. Thank you, sir. So gentlemen, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a vote? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your
Thank you for being here this evening. That takes us to items 9B, presentation by Rodney Cates, Emergency Services Director.
Evening, gentlemen. That's a tough act to follow right there. We'll try. I was asked to come up and give a presentation or a quick briefing on triage destination plans, how they work and what we do with them. I'm going to start back dating this just a little bit as to when we put triage destination in place, why we put it in place, and where we are today with triage destination. Back in 2017.
Mr. Cates, can I just stop you real quick? I understand what triage destination means. Could you say that a little more colloquially for the public?
Yes, triage destination is technically it involves classifying patients to prioritize transportation to specialized centers over the nearest facility if and or when possible. What it means is you look at a patient, you look at what they're presenting with, and you determine what is the best option to transport these patients to. We began to look at this back in 2017. We looked at our call volume, where our trucks were. We were running out of trucks quite frequently. When I say running out of trucks, we had our EMS units allocated to calls for service, and these patients were being transported anywhere in the county or out of the county that they wanted to go to. What that was causing was we had no EMS trucks in our county, or we were reducing all the way down to one EMS truck in our county. So we're trying to cover 588 square miles with one EMS truck. It's not a very efficient use of our services. So we also looked at it from a legal standpoint. North Carolina Administrative Code 13P201 gives the criteria that a government has to have when they have an EMS system, one of which is the highest level of care offered within the EMS provider service shall be available to the citizens within that service district 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. When we are at one truck or specifically no trucks, we are not meeting that as we perhaps should. We do have mutual aid agreements with neighboring counties. We provide mutual aid to them. They provide mutual aid to us. And in our times of need, it's a partner situation that helps us make sure that we have coverage, but we would like to cover our citizens with our own people when we can. So we instituted in 2018 triage destination, which simply states STEMI, strokes, critical trauma, burns, critical pediatrics, we take them out of county to a higher level of care. If they need to be stabilized, there are times that they stay in this county for stabilization. If we have a STEMI patient, which is a heart attack, it's a myocardial infarction, when we have that and they're not stable enough to make a ride to Greensboro, make a ride to Baptist, we may keep them local to get them stabilized so that they can make that trip at a later time. But overall, STEMI, strokes, critical traumas, burns, critical pediatrics go out of county. All other calls, we try to keep them in county. That allows us to utilize our local facilities. It keeps our trucks closer by. That way, as soon as our trucks clear from that call at Annie Penn or at UNC Rockingham, they're available for another call. If we clear a truck at Cone or at Baptist, we got to get that truck back in the county before it's actually available for another call. So let's look at a quick comparison. In 2017, or late 2017, when we were getting ready to implement this, EMS ran 17,709 calls for service. There were 834 times that we went down to one truck. There were 155 times that we went down to no trucks. That's 2017. We move forward to 2025, and the numbers they'll jump around a little bit from year to year based on staffing, nursing staffing at the hospitals. COVID, was certainly tough for everybody. But if we move forward to 2025, last calendar year, EMS responded to 19,044 calls for service. There were only 325 times we went down to one truck and 118 times that we went to no truck. If you want to do that comparison, that's a 7.5% increase in call volume between those 2 years. It went up 7.5% for 2025, but it is a 61% decrease in the number of times we were reduced to one truck and a 24% decrease in the number of times we had no trucks in the county. That shows this triage destination is working. It's keeping trucks in the county. It's allowing us to meet our statutory requirement through the administrative code. It's providing a better service for our citizens.
Mr. Cates, just to touch on one thing that you said in 2017, we decided, and you're not referring to the commissioners, you're referring to administration for emergency services.
EMS administration sat down and met and discussed this in depthly over multiple meetings, and the ultimate decision was made by EMS administration and not by the county manager or the county board of commissioners.
So to put a little finer point on that, just for the benefit of the public, I do not decide, nor do any of the other gentlemen sitting on the board of commissioners decide whether or not a patient is in need of being transported out of the county. Would you say that's fair?
That is 100% fair. Okay. We have protocol books on our trucks, and within those protocol books are the 4 triage destination plans that I just talked about. These triage destination plans have criteria that a patient could be presenting with. Our medics look at these when they're on the truck or with the patient in front of him of what they're presenting with, and they make that determination based on the printed triage destination plans that are in the protocol book that are on every EMS truck that we run.
Well, Mr. Cates, if I could just add one more thing before I turn it over to my colleagues here. We appreciate you and your capacity as director. We trust you and your staff to make these kind of hard decisions. I just am concerned that some people feel that somehow it's a political matter whether or not a truck leaves a county or leaves this county. And I just want to be, from your mouth, do you have pressure from us to control where people go in an emergency situation?
No, sir. I've been here for almost 11 years, and we've had 100% full support from every board member that we've had. Our county manager and our county administration, we've had full support to run the service as we, as administrators, deem necessary for the betterment of our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Cates. Gentlemen, do we have any questions for Mr. Cates? Commissioner Richardson.
I'm trying to put you in a practical situation, and this is realistic because I got a phone call and I didn't call you. And this individual is in the southwest corner of the county, close to where I live, and had a medical situation that required an ambulance and requested to go to Cone Hospital rather than Annie Penn. And that request was denied, even though Cone Hospital is 4 or 5 miles closer.
Right.
For the response. And Cone Hospital is relatively close to the county line, relative. Should a similar situation arise, how would your personnel deal with it?
They'll look at the triage destination plan, and if that patient doesn't present with what is in the triage destination plan to take them out of county, they don't go out of county. We have to look at turnaround time as well. It may be closer to get that person, mileage-wise, it may be closer to go to Cone. But when you look at the call volume that goes into Cone and how long it takes to transfer patient care to the hospital staff, when you look at all the stoplights you got to ride to get back out of Guilford County to get back into Rockingham County, turnaround time is another key factor that plays into triage destination. And if in that situation, if that patient did not meet a triage destination plan, he would have gone locally just as that patient did.
You and I have had a similar conversation a few years ago, and one of the problems that you pointed out was in the case of Greensboro, the people at the emergency room weren't turning you around very rapidly. Is that still the case?
Well, it is a slower turnaround time, but that's a very, very busy hospital. And I'm not at all trying to throw those people under the bus. They are busy. That hospital is slammed every time you go down there. When you roll in there and you back in, there will be multiple EMS trucks backed in. How many walk-in patients they have, how many they have in their waiting room. So I don't know what their patient count is, but it does take a while to offload a patient and to transfer patient care. And that legally has to happen. You can't just pull up at the door and drop them and tell them that they're there. You have to do patient report and let them know what they have and get different forms signed. So due to the nature and the busyness of Cone and Baptist and any of the other larger hospital groups, patient care does take a while to occur because of the mere volume that they have in these facilities.
When you have to transport a patient, do you automatically check the number of remaining ambulances available within the county?
We do, and we actually have a policy. We try not to go out of county. If we're down to 3 trucks or less, we don't go out of county unless it is a truly life-threatening situation. If one of these situations come up that we just described, we'll go. But sometimes we're called to do emergency transfers out of the ER, and we do not do them until we have a proper staffing within the county to be able to take another truck out of county. But yes, sir, we do look at that.
Thank you for clarifying those situations.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, any further questions for Mr. Cates?
I do. Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
McCallum?
do you know the turnaround time for like Cone versus Annie Penn? If somebody wanted to know, where you're saying it's taking, I don't know, an hour and a half to go to Cone versus how long it would take to do a turnaround at Annie Penn.
When we looked at it back around 2017, 2018, it's about a 2-hour turnaround time at an out-of-county facility. The dynamic there, though, is that turnaround time, the minute our crews are freed up at Annie Penn or UNC Rockingham, they're in our county and they're available to go run another call. If we free a truck up in Guilford or Forsyth, then that truck still is not doing us any good till we get it back in the county. And liability-wise, we can't tell them to run lights and siren out of another county to get back up here to be ready to run another call. So there's several factors that play into that turnaround time. But generally speaking, it's the better part of 2 hours.
Okay, as the county's growing, do you see a future where we need more ambulances and paramedics, to keep adding, try to build the staff?
Well, it certainly stands to reason that as our population grows, our call volume is going to grow. And we've already addressed that to some degree with the Station 82 that'll go in, the partner station we'll do with Stokesdale Fire coming up in the upcoming year. So we've already are beginning to address that, but certainly with increased population is going to be increased volume, call volume. That certainly will be a factor. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Mr. Cates. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Gentlemen, anybody else? Well, Mr. Cates, thank you for your presentation tonight and thank you for your clarifications. That brings us to item 9C, presentation by Mr. David French from the Mark.
Thank you and good evening. Chairman Barrow and members of the Board of Commissioners. My name is Dave French. I live at 138 Lake Hunt Drive in Reidsville. I'm speaking tonight as Board President for the Rockingham County Historical Society Museum and Archives, also known as by the acronym MARC. Our 501c3 organization operates the museum and archives that's located in the 1907 historical courthouse that is owned by Rockingham County. Agenda item 9C includes the two components of our request for your consideration. The first is a request for the approval of the demolition of the county-owned Law and Order building that is adjacent to the historic courthouse located at 1086 NC 65 if state grant funding can be secured. The Law and Order building was constructed as part of the 1970s expansion of the Rockingham County Justice Complex to house the Sheriff's Department and jail. Multiple factors support the demolition of the Law and Order building. These include the structural and facility safety issues due to the age, the condition of the roof, an inoperable fire alarm system, and the risk of electrical systems failure and fire hazard, and the fact that the building is obsolete design and its economic non-viability of renovating the facility. Basically, it would be really tough and incredibly expensive to do anything with the building given its age and structure. The second component seeks approval for a letter of support from the Board of Commissioners to be included in our grant request to the state, to our legislators. We're asking for $1.6 million to replace the roof of the historic courthouse, install new gutters and downspouts, demolish the Law and Order building, and grade and gravel the site, repair and renovate exterior portions of the courthouse, and repave select parking areas. I ask that you consider three key facts in support of our request. First, for many years, thousands of Rockingham County citizens, as well as community organizations and tourists, have benefited from the cultural events, the exhibits, the programs hosted at our museum. Our organization has demonstrated significant success in obtaining state, federal, local grants, and numerous donations to complete the extensive renovations to the 1907 courthouse building to enable the museum exhibits to reopen to the public, thanks to your support. And given the conditions of the building, it's vital to preserve the historical courthouse and to mitigate the hazard risk of the obsolete Law and Order building. In the package, you've got copies of the draft letter of support, you've got copies of the draft letter to our legislators, and you've got the explanation of why we feel like it's a good idea to demolish the Law and Order building. And I appreciate your time and consideration, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Gentlemen, do we have any questions for Mr. French?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hall.
A couple of things. Number one, if we were to authorize this demo, being county property, we'd have to insist that it would be done in compliance with all laws, codes, and ordinances.
Yes, sir. I'm committed to work with the county to do that. That's how we did the renovation work. We got bids, we worked with the building inspector, fire marshal, and sometimes it's tough, but we got it done.
Well, we just need to protect the county, the taxpayer.
Yes.
Number two, if we were to do a letter, I would want to be sure to clarify that there are no matching funds from the county for any grants or loans. We talked about that in the past.
We've not asked the county to commit anything, we've got an existing. Financially, we've got the county's support, and we've got the lease agreement, and we very much appreciate your support. But this request is not asking the county to contribute any money for matching funds. And, with your support, we feel like we've got a better chance of going to legislators and asking for the OSBM grant. And it also, working on fixing building issues such as roofs and demolishing old jails, it helps us convince donors who want to fund exhibits, because then they get to put their investment into history of the building and not the structural components. But I think your support is vital to our success, and the partnership's been working quite well, and I thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, I believe that is all our discussion. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Chair, I second.
Motion by Commissioner Callum, second by Commissioner Hall. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. French. With the amendment to our agenda earlier this evening, that brings us to item 11B, which is our closed session. I do not expect any business after the closed session. Gentlemen, do we have a motion?
Do commissioner comments first?
Yeah. I apologize. Let's do that before everybody leaves.
And I wouldn't anticipate business after.
Yeah, okay. All right. My apologies, got ahead of myself. So, County Manager, do we have any new business?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go with Commissioner comments, 11A. Commissioner Callum.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight, and like to thank the Underwoods for showing up tonight, and great example of what law enforcement is. And I don't know if I don't think he told us, but he didn't recognize, I think he didn't recognize he had been shot till the day after, if I'm not mistaken. For that to be correct, he noticed there was a hole in his vest. And that was what brought it on to investigate why he had a hole. And that's what led to him recognizing he'd actually took a bullet. So they have some good equipment, and I think that was vital for him. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Callum. Commissioner Berger.
Thank everybody for coming out tonight. And I believe we provided some additional equipment to them tonight. So we've certainly provided funding for every request they've submitted to us except for one. But yeah, they put the life on the line and do quite a bit. And certainly glad he's okay and was able to be here tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yeah, congratulations and our appreciation to Sergeant Underwood. I might mention, I think this vest is manufactured in Rockingham County, is it not?
I can check.
Well, it used to be. In any event, let's keep things local and protect, in particular, the safety. I want to take a moment to recognize a recent departure from Rockingham County, and that's Miss Betsy Brame, who worked for this county in the EMS section for a number of years, and most recently was a vital employee in our economic development section. Betsy was instantly likable and very efficient and contributed greatly in all capacities. She will be missed by our family and all of her colleagues here. And I would commend Betsy Brame to any citizen as an example worthy of following.
Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'd like to recognize elected officials tonight. I see Philip Butler, our Vice Chair of the Board of Education. Thank you for being here tonight. And yeah, Betsy will be missed. I grew up with Betsy. She lived in the neighborhood, and we're distantly related. But what a great person. She will be missed sorely. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. I too would like to follow their sentiments and extend our condolences to Miss Betsy Brown's family. I know that it's a hard time right now, and we will continue keeping you in our prayers. I would also like to continue my push to help spread the word about foster care. I do have some good news tonight. We are down to 162 children in our care, so that is an increase or a decrease in the number of children, and we are up to 12 licensed foster families inside of the county here through Rockingham County DSS. But please, we still have a long ways to go. If you know anyone through a civic organization or a church that would be interested in helping us out with foster care, please have them reach out to the county. Now I'll go back to that closed session thing we were talking about. So we will be going to closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 1431811A1 to approve closed session minutes, and NCGS 143318111A5 to instruct negotiation agents. Gentlemen, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by
All.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richardson. All in favor? Aye. We are in.
Chair, I'd also like to state, I don't anticipate business afterwards either. Does anyone?
Don't anticipate any business. We're in closed session. Thank you.